Everything you need to know about Anthony Edwards is captured in a single frame. Fourth quarter, game against Denver. Edwards rises into the air as if gravity has no claim on him, floats midair, and effortlessly, as if tossing a ball into a backyard hoop, buries the reigning champion's hopes. This playoff run marked the birth of a new star in the NBA. Not just a player, not just a leader, a true era-ending killer. A guy unafraid of Jokic, Kawhi, the pressure, or the blinding spotlight. For years, the Minnesota Timberwolves were a franchise people laughed at. The days of Kevin Garnett felt like ancient history. But in 2024, a new chapter began. Anthony Edwards didn't just turn the page, he tore out the old book and started writing his own. We're not just witnessing a basketball player, we're witnessing a new era. Chapter 1: From the Jungle to Battle, The Birth Against Phoenix. The playoffs started with a bang for Minnesota. Many said that Phoenix, with Durant, Booker, and Beal, was the last team you'd want to face in the first round. Experience, firepower, star power. But nobody told Anthony Edwards that, and maybe it's a good thing he didn't hear it. In Game 1, he hit the court with the face of someone who didn't care who stood in front of him. He attacked Durant like he was just another Summer League opponent, not a future Hall of Famer. He jumped higher, moved faster, laughed louder. His 33 points were a lightning strike that hit Phoenix's tower of expectations. But more than the numbers, it was the confidence. Every move screamed, "We're going to destroy you." In Game 2, he doubled down. That night, he looked like he was running on pure adrenaline. 36 points, including clutch shots that left no doubt. He wasn't just scoring, he was orchestrating. Durant was off, Booker was fuming, Beal vanished. Whatever the Suns threw at Minnesota was swallowed by their defense while the offense orbited one Sun, and Game 3 was a manifesto. 36 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. Not just stats, but a masterpiece painted on the canvas of Target Center. Every move was filled with rage, flair, and fearlessness. He stomped on stars who were seen as gods just a year ago. Minnesota led 3-0, and the scent of an upset hung in the air. Game 4 was a formality. Everyone knew Minnesota would finish the job, but Edwards didn't slow down. His dunks were verdicts, his defense, traps. He sealed the series with 40 more points. Phoenix was wiped off the map. Clean, surgical work. If he was respected before, now he was feared. Chapter 2: The Champion's Throne, How Minnesota Took Down Denver. If the first round was a show of dominance, the second was war. Nikola Jokic, Denver's brain and heart. A champion, an MVP, a machine. And Minnesota. A young, hungry squad led by a man desperate to carve his name into NBA legend. The first 2 games in Denver were a shock. Jokic looked lost. Gobert smothered him at the rim, while Edwards played like his family bet their house on the outcome. His 43 points in Game 2 were a masterpiece. He scored from everywhere, played tough, confident, like a veteran with 10 playoff series behind him. When the series returned to Minnesota at 2-0, it seemed like they had control, but Denver wasn't a fluke champion. Jokic waited like a predator, and in Game 3 he struck, dominated. Minnesota's defense cracked. Edwards fought, but his shots wouldn't fall. They lost. Game 4, a repeat. Jokic flipped the MVP switch and Minnesota wobbled. 2-2. Panic, number pressure? Absolutely. Game 5 in Denver, the breaking point. Both teams were on edge. The game was neck and neck until the end, but Edwards took over in the clutch. His shot with a minute left, surgical. His defense on Murray, pure willpower, victory. Series lead, 3-2. Then came Game 6. The home crowd roared. Minnesota could close the series. Edwards came out and hit just 5 of 15. Jokic was a machine, scoring 40-plus. Edwards missed again and again. The team lost. He He walked off without looking at the camera. In his eyes, not confusion, rage. Game 7, all or nothing, in Denver against the champs. And Edwards delivered exactly what was expected. 27 points, 4 steals, 3 blocks, and a final defensive stand against Jokic. He slapped the ball loose, turned, and roared toward the bench. Minnesota won. The champions fell. Edwards didn't just win a series. He tore the fabric of the NBA's established order. Chapter 3. Voice of the Future. Interviews, quotes, and inner fire playoffs aren't just about shots and stats. They're psychological warfare. And in this war, Edwards emerged not just as a star, but as a sneaker-wearing philosopher. After each game, he spoke to the media like a teacher, not a student. "I want teams to fear us," he said after Game 2 against Denver. It wasn't bravado, it was a command. His face was stone, his voice concrete. After the Game 6 loss, he said, "This isn't a loss, it's a warning, we'll be back." And he came back. Instantly, he compares himself to Jordan. Bold, yes, but the court agrees. Not a copy, a new prototype. He doesn't fear the moment, doesn't hide. His style is to be the hero, the first one into the fire. Chapter 4. Chemistry like never before. How Ant changed the entire team. Before Edwards, Minnesota was a group of talented extras, no direction. But with Ant, everything changed. He inspires Towns, irritates Gobert into effort, makes McDaniels fight for every inch. He's not just a star, he's the glue. On the bench, he's the first to greet rookies. In the locker room, the last to leave. He plays like he wants everyone around him to be better. His passion is contagious. He fights for wins not for himself, but for everyone. Gobert smiles on the court for the first time in his career. Towns looks calmer than ever. Kyle Anderson, usually a background figure, suddenly hits clutch plays, all thanks to the energy Edwards radiates. Chapter 5. What next? The finals of the West, or the beginning of a new era? Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves battled the Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic. And this series turned into a true episode of a new basketball history. It wasn't just a battle between two stars, but a brutal duel of two worlds. Eastern Europe versus street-smart American genius, tactics versus instinct, ice and fire. And now it's clear, Edwards has not only accepted the challenge, he's avenged it. For the past. For the 2024 Conference Finals, where Doncic and his Mavs stopped the Lakers. Now Edwards has become the one who blocked the road. He rewrote history. He did it with style, power, uncompromising. Winning this series wasn't just a step toward the finals. It's a statement for the future. It's a new chapter not just for Minnesota, but for the entire league. Edwards showed that he's ready to not only fight, but to beat the brightest of a generation. He's no longer just a dunk guy, he's a leader, a catalyst, a new icon. And while before it seemed like the Timberwolves just hit a lucky shot, that's not the case anymore. This isn't a flash, this is the beginning of a new era. An era in which Edwards sets the pace. An era in which Minnesota is not just a map, but the epicenter of a basketball earthquake. Conclusion. Welcome to the Edwards era. Basketball isn't just about titles, it's about the feeling. And the entire 2025 playoffs were about him. Anthony Edwards, a young beast with charisma, dunks, and cold blood. He burst into the postseason with one goal in mind, to prove he was ready for greatness. In 2024, he swept Phoenix, got past Denver, but Doncic was unstoppable. In 2025, he was stopped by Oklahoma on his way to the finals. Shea and company were a cut above. And yet he rewrote the story this spring. He brought Minnesota back into the conversation about big things. And that's not the end. It's a resounding beginning because he's not just a star, he's a new era of the NBA.